It's been a long time.
One game that I really don't want to get anything spoiled when it comes to, and I know a lot of you guys out there don't want to get anything spoiled either, is Portal 2. So don't worry, I'm keeping track of Rasmus's mouth here when he's going to talk about it, because that bastard has been playing it. He's played it through the whole thing. And, well, feeling satisfied?
Oh, yes.
Good start.
Very, very much so.
Because looking back at Portal, it was a 4 or 5 hour, kind of came out of left field, nobody really saw it coming.
And it was this like perfect package.
Yeah, of amazing storytelling in a weird kind of way, great puzzles, and of course GlaDOS, the evil AI, which set off a whole bunch of memes all over the internet. And how does that work? This is a full-length game.
Full-length game. It took me about, the single-player campaign took me about 7 hours.
Okay.
And I know some of the other people who played it while I did as well, they took more like 8 or 10. It depends on how fast you solve the puzzles, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's certainly longer than Call of Duty and games of that ilk.
Does it work all the way through? Because that was kind of scary when I heard about it the first time.
Yeah.
Do a full length.
It not only works, but it sort of keeps on surprising you. The pacing and the way that stuff gets introduced as you go along is just so on the money. I mean, they really, I think Valve in that regard really outdid themselves with this game. It, start to finish, there's not a dull moment, and it never gets repetitive. And there's always something new going on. It's so well done.
In the first game, you had the portal gun, which could fire an orange and a blue portal, and
yes.
if you pass through one, you come out the other. That was more or less what you as a player could do. Of course, there were buttons, and you had to use it in creative ways, but that was more or less it. How much new stuff has been introduced when it comes to?
There's a ton of new stuff that all sort of plays or goes with the portals. Interacts with the portals is the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
There's a bunch of new gameplay elements. There's these laser beams that you have to redirect using either a mirror box or your portals. And there's these light bridges that you can walk on, and then they go through puzzles, so you can extend them and move them around and stuff like that. And later on you get these skills that there's a blue gel, when you jump on it you get launched into the air higher. And a couple of other things that come in to play later on in the game.
All that works?
All of that works, and like I said, it's so perfectly paced out, that even as you're getting to the final parts of the game, you're either seeing new stuff or you're using the old stuff in new ways. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I guess that's...
Gameplay-wise, all the mechanics are spot on.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
One thing, of course, or for many of us, one of the most important things is the story of
the writing, Portal. The dialogue, the humor,
exactly.
all of that.
So without spoiling anything...
Without spoiling it.
Still as good?
Even better.
Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough.
There's GlaDOS is back, of course. If you've seen the trailers from the game, you also met Wheatley, the personality sphere that guides you around guides you around.
Because I was kind of worried about him when Valve first introduced him.
I was this close to just spoiling something, so I had to stop myself. Yes.
That would have been office-wide spanking.
Oh, yeah.
But when Valve first introduced him, I got kind of worried because, again, in the first Portal, it was so streamlined. It was just GlaDOS's voice, and of course, like writings on the walls and stuff like that, which actually told the story. Now you suddenly introduce another character into the mix.
Yeah, there's that, and early on in the game, before you revive GlaDOS, which you do. There's also some, at the beginning you're going through some of the test chambers from the first game, but in these old, sort of ruined, overgrown, full of plant life, broken versions. And as you're going through those, there's a bunch of automatic recordings playing, telling you, like, still giving you instructions under the assumption that, you know, the world has ended or something and you're the last one left, but we got to go on testing.
This next test applies the principles of momentum to movement through portals. If the laws of physics no longer apply in the future, God help you.
And those, and when it comes to Wheatley and GlaDOS, and pretty much all the dialogue is hilariously funny. Okay. I mean, if there are tons of laugh out loud moments, and when at the minimum you're giggling most of the way, because pretty much every single line is funny.
Okay. So GlaDOS is really back to her
she's
hyper old self.
Sorry about the mess. I've really let the place go since you killed me. By the way, thanks for that.
Sarcasm self-test complete.
Oh good, that's back online.
She's a little bit meaner and a little bit more sarcastic. She has no problems commenting on your weight. The thing is, this is all sort of stuff that's been covered in the preview, so I'm not afraid to talk about it.
You've been warned.
Yeah. She just as she's revived, she tells you that, you know, she found out she had this sort of quick save feature or black box where she's been reliving the final few moments of her life again and again and again and again and again for years and years and years. So she's kind of bitter, and that really shows in all of what she's saying. You know, the jokes she cracks, she's sarcastic as hell. And, you know, makes so many offhand remarks, just go to, you know, really, you know, you almost feel bad that you killed her. Almost.
Portal 2 also introduces co-op into
Yes.
the Portal gameplay, and that's of course is not with the main storyline.
No, it's its own separate storyline, its own separate campaign.
Yeah.
That goes story-wise after the single-player campaign.
Okay.
If you don't want to spoil anything for yourself as you're playing it. One of the things that really stood out to me about it is that it's a lot harder than the single-player game.
Okay.
The puzzle,
In
the difficulty in the puzzles is higher. You know, as I were playing it co-op, me and the guy I was playing with, we got stuck a lot more often than we did playing for the single-player game, just because the puzzles are a lot more complex. And also, it introduces, not new mechanics, but it uses some of the old mechanics in new ways that you don't actually see in the single-player game. And there's a bit more sort of quick reaction, timing-based puzzle elements than in the single-player game.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming they think you're better at the game once you get to that point than you were going through the single-player game. One thing that goes for Portal 2, both single-player and multiplayer, compared to the first game, is there's a lot less reflex-based puzzles, like less dexterity-based puzzles where you have to do like flick and shoot a portal at just the right moment as you're flying through the air, stuff like that. There's less of that. It's more like if you can figure out the solution to a puzzle, you can do it, whether or not you're clumsy or you're like a mouse god or something, pro gamer, whatever.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah,
but co-op is fun as well.
Co-op is hilarious. And GlaDOS is also in co-op, and she's even meaner, or
Poor robots.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything again, but the stuff she says, it's funny. It's very funny.
Keep in mind that, like Albert Einstein and his cousin Terry, history will only remember one of you.
So in general, Portal 2 has been worth waiting for. It's
absolutely.
For lovers of the first game.
If you love the first game, you'll love this one.
Okay.
And if you missed the first game, you'll probably love this one as well, because it's really, really, really good.
And if you missed the first one, you probably don't have the orange box, so go buy the orange box.
Yeah, you should get it
right now.
But actually, one thing about Portal 2, the first game Portal was one of the best, if not the best game that came out in 2007. And Portal 2 makes it sort of seem simplistic in pretty much every regard, from graphics to puzzles to story to elements.
Right.
It takes everything the first game did and outdoes it.
I really want to play now.
Fully configurable, infinitely variable. Safe. Aperture brand panels will assist your test subjects every step of the way. That is not a panel. That's a crusher. We sell them too.